So you can give an introduction on who you are and what military regiment you joined?
Yeah, my name's Mick. I am Jarrod's dad, and in 1983 I joined the Corps of Royal Military Police.
What motivated you to join the military?
I'd always wanted to join it. When I was a very young child, I was in the Cubs, and then I went to the Territorial Army, and it kind of just got the flavour for being in the forces. I've also got, well, as you know, that people in our family have military history.
Yeah.
So that's what I just kind of followed suit.
Yeah. What was the TA like then?
TA was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I joined at 17, and on my 18th birthday, I was actually in a trench.
Really?
Yeah, mad innit?
Where was that?
It was at a place called Otterburn, which is up in the northeast. But basically, they were deployed on my 18th birthday, and rather than going down the pub with my mates, I went and sat in a trench all night.
I guess what you chose to do, was it fun or was it?
Yeah, it was fun, yeah. But yeah, again, you with lots of people you know.
Yeah, exactly, that's true.
So it's good.
Can you tell me about your time in, if you did boot camp or not boot camp? Or?
I went to a place called Chichester. That's where the military police train. The first 10 weeks, it's a 22-week course. The first 10 weeks are basic training, which is what you probably call boot camp.
Fitness training.
What kind of fitness training doing?
Agility lesson 1.
Roger. What are we learning today?
How to do a basic obstacle course.
Easy.
Easy stuff.
Doing pretty.
Is that the room key, is it?
Yeah, that's the room key. Now. Right, give me a second. Big gun.
Where we do all the exercise and all the physical training, all of the map reading, all of the basics to become a soldier. So everybody in the forces is a soldier first.
Oh, cool. So it's sort of like you bring from your cub training and stuff and scouts and stuff, you bring that into the army as well?
Yeah, like map reading, orienteering obviously as it's called, and then survival skills, like going out cooking, surviving, and you do things like that. But they also, in that first 10 weeks, they build your fitness up. And you go in, and I was fairly fit when I joined, but you go in and you become a very, very fit person.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you have fun. What was your primary job after training?
I joined the Corps of Military Police, so I was a military policeman. So we would be deployed all over the world doing corps role, which is policing, keeping the army straight, looking after places and people. We would go downtown on a Saturday night if soldiers got into fights, as they invariably do. Then I don't know, we would sort it out. If we needed to arrest people, we would arrest people. But if we didn't, we didn't. We kind of steer them home in their drunken stupors as such. But no, everybody was good. Yeah, everybody was good.
Is it more of a punishment if you're bad as a soldier, or is it like?
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, and certainly if you strike a senior NCO or an NCO, then you will go to a military prison. Yeah, and of course, so everybody in my corps is an NCO anyway.
Yeah, that's fair. So, where were your barracks to? Obviously, you said you were in Chichester. Is that the only place you served, or?
No, Chichester was my. That was my corps headquarters as such. So Chichester is where I trained. I then went to a place called Colchester, where I served with 156 Provo Company. Provo is a military term for policing.
Okay,
They have the head of the military police is a Provost Marshal. So I went to Chichester. Then I went to Germany, and I served in 7 Armoured Brigade, which is the Desert Rats. Then I went to. I did a tour in Africa. Then I went to Northern Ireland, and then from Northern Ireland I went to a place called Bulford in Salisbury Plain, where I served with 158 Bravo Company.
Yeah.
And then I got a teaching job, and I went back to train TA.
Huh. Sounds like you had a full life then.
Yeah, and that was in Maindy Barracks in Cardiff.
Yeah.
So I ended up on promotion. I ended up teaching there.
So you end up here?
That's how I ended up in Wales. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. What was your highest rank you reached?
I was a staff sergeant as a company commander, but when I was basically on promotion, that was my last promotion, which I didn't take.
Huh.
I left the army then after 12 and a half years.
That's a really long time.
That was fun though. It goes quick though.
Does it?
Yeah.
Did you receive any medals or citations?
I've got 4 medals. I've got Northern Ireland medal, which is a general service medal for Northern Ireland. That's because I've served more than a specific amount of time in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
Then I've got the Queen's Jubilee medals. I've got a Golden Jubilee, and I forget the last one.
Yeah.
And then I've got a long service and good conduct medal.
Is that after like 10 years?
It's for 20 years,
Yeah.
but it's the LS&GC was long service good conduct medal is from the police force.
Oh, right.
So
Well, that carries over from your military life into the policing life.
yeah, so I can wear all my medals because they're all been given to me.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so long service and good conduct,
Yeah.
or
So,
just not being caught.
what was the best or worst food you've ever had?
I suppose the best food is, well, when you say the best food, it depends. Probably the most expensive food I've ever had is I've had genuine caviar.
Really?
That is, I was in Africa. I was looking after Sir Derek March at the time, and he went to a party at the Russian embassy, and they had beluga caviar in the dining as a part of the dining facilities there.
Really?
For him, but we snuck in the back door, and the house staff gave us some, so that's pretty cool.
That sounds pretty
And
cool.
then the worst food I've ever had, do you know what? Actually, I'm thinking about it. The worst food I ever had was the same tour when I was in Uganda when I went to the embassy, and I was told that it was because it was locust season. Sorry.
Yeah.
We could eat the locusts, so we went out on an evening when it was there was millions and millions of these things flying around all the street lamps. They obviously gather around the street lamps,
Yeah.
and we caught loads of them, took the wings off them, and then you can fry them very quickly. And the locals eat them; they're a delicacy, but they only last for a certain amount of time, a couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah.
So they were frying them up, and they obviously asked me if I wanted to try one, and I did try one, and it was
Was
rank. It was
Yeah.
rank, yeah, really, really
What does it
great.
taste like?
It actually tasted like buttery slugs. I've never had buttery slugs, but it tastes like butter. It tastes like butter, but it was like, wasn't nice. But I suppose if you're used to it, and it's protein, isn't it?
Okay.
So yeah, within the space of 9 months, I probably had the best food and the best in the world, and the worst in the world.
Can you tell me about a funny story that happened during your time in the military?
Yeah, I can tell you about when I was in Colchester. We were on a brigade exercise. It was the biggest exercise the Army's ever done. It was called Operation Lionheart at the time.
Yeah.
And I forget his name. Stevie Waters, a friend of mine, he was controlling a checkpoint or a crossroads where we were moving basically the whole of the British Army through from the UK to Germany in preparation for war, which is what we would do, but it was an exercise. So Stevie's on this crossroads, and he's been there for about 24 hours.
Really? Just standing there?
Yeah, standing there, and he's directing traffic and bits and pieces. But we'd been out on exercise for several weeks by this time, and what we'd done is we took extra underwear so that you could wear them. And what we used to do was we used to wear them normally, and then the next day, to save washing and that, you turn them inside out, and then so on and so forth. So some of these pieces of underwear, it sounds a bit gross, I know, but it's we'd worn them for several days, because there was no facilities to wash. So we
It's
just,
a bit gross, yeah.
yeah, it is. So Stevie decided to get rid of, in the middle of the night when he was on this post, he decided to get rid of all his underwear to throw it away.
Yeah.
And what he did, not knowing there was a bush behind him, but he took all his underwear from his pouches and threw it, and he thought it'd gone. Yeah, he thought it had gone forever.
Yeah.
But the next morning, what he didn't realise, as I said, there was a bush behind him, and all of his underwear was actually on this bush, hanging. Yeah, yeah.
How does your military life affect you now, or when you just come out?
Well, I think you know, because it was like a transgression from military police to normal police, because that's what I've been doing that for the last 20 years. So yeah, it helped me. It really helped me.
Oh, that's fair enough.
And it's a very similar career path, you know.
Yeah.
Through the military and through the armed forces, and of course you have that discipline as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So can you tell me about a story when things were kind of bleak for you and things weren't looking good?
I don't think there was one.
Yeah.
Do you know, I generally don't think there
It
was.
was always like really good for you. Like,
I've had some really good times, yeah, some really, really good times.
it sounds like you have.
But I can't think there's been anything really bad. I mean, I've seen some horrible things, you know,
Yeah.
with people. I said bleak. I said where people have been, we've been to Africa and things like that, where people have starved, literally starving and things like that.
Yeah.
You know, and I've seen, you know, world disasters, but not bleak for me, no.
Yeah. That's fair enough.
But,
Would you say the same person as you were when you went in?
no, gosh, no. I'll put it this way, I'm 40 years old, aren't I? So it can't be. But I've learned a lot more, haven't I? I've always been fairly disciplined anyway. If I have to be somewhere, I'd always be 5 minutes early.
Yeah.
And the army teaches you things like that. You know, you're never late when you're there. So it teaches us things like that. So, but no, I'm always on time. I'm always punctual, honest. You know.
Yeah.
And that's the way people should be. You know,
That's true.
That's
Yeah.
what I
It's just
think.
basic, really.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's just what you should be.
Yeah.
One more question. Is it true that you have to iron your bed sheets?
When you get them out of stores, because you change your bed sheets every week,
Yeah.
and you go get new sheets, they're always pre-ironed,
Yeah.
you know. And what you have to do is you make them into you make your bed, and then during training you have to make what they call bed blocks. So what you do is you fold all your sheets back up. This is every day, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. So you make your bed on the evenings.
Every day in training, sorry. Or...
Every day in training.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So you make your bed every evening. You get in it. The next morning, you get up and you fold these sheets and blankets, because we never had quilts in training. Yeah. You fold them into what they call a bed block, and then you wrap it with another blanket around it, so it looks nice. So it's like grey, white, grey, white, grey, and then like the lines. And it's got to be a certain size, and you have to do that every single morning, right? So what we used to do, right, is we cheated.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would make them up, and only ever sleep for the first 10 weeks of training. We would only ever sleep in one blanket, which is the outside one. So we only had to do that every single morning. It's good, isn't it?
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Like,
But we were cold.
Go together.
No, they just fit together. They actually lie just on top of each, like stacking on top of each other. But yeah, but we used to always sleep in one blanket, and we were absolutely freezing. But you had to be, you know,
Yeah.
perfect.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.